here we are. We're recording a podcast. How are you?
I'm great. I was just noticing that the top of my new chest piece looks like curly black hair.
Yeah,
and then,
it kind of does.
and then I was thinking about in middle school, we had a long-term, maybe he was a student teacher or maybe a long-term sub named Mr. Bailey, who always had a thick, healthy mat sticking out. And then we had a little inside joke that I think it must have been like me and Carissa and Leah or something, Hester maybe, that he should have a shirt with like a plastic window.
So you could see the rest.
Yeah, because you could tell he wanted to show it off a little.
He wanted people to know about his tufts.
Yeah.
You know?
Anyway,
Whatever.
Mr. Bailey, if you're listening.
Give us a call. How are the tufts looking these days?
Silver, salt and pepper.
Salt and pepper tufts.
That man was probably 24 years old.
So oldest age you could imagine when
Yeah.
you were 12.
So, can I tell people what today's episode is?
Yes.
Do you remember what I called it?
Hang on. Let me look at my text. The conceit of the show.
Oh yeah, text me back.
Text me back. Text me back. Text me back. Text me back at once. Text me back. A show about two 40-year-old women who text each other nonsense.
Remember
I'm Megan Hatcher-Mays. I don't know.
Shit, sorry. And I'm
No.
Lindy.
I don't think we've done an intro on this show in like 3 weeks.
No. Welcome to Text Me Back, a podcast that started at a real radio station where they made us have a name and a concept. But now we're independent.
Now we
Brother.
cry. We cry. You said grab bag surprise.
Should I get a lip flip?
What does that mean?
It's like a cosmetic. It's like they put filler, I think, right here, but it doesn't make your lip plump. It flips it up.
No.
So I look like Sydney Sweeney.
I'm not here to judge anyone's plastic surgery choices, but don't do that. That's weird.
Okay, grab bag surprise. So,
Or we had Lazy Girl upside down cake,
ooh, that's good.
and we also had casserole dump.
Casserole dump cakes. Grocery
Dump
store
cakes.
dump cake cookbook.
Yes.
So the concept is we didn't prepare anything.
This is somehow different than previous weeks. So
And then this morning I was trying to think of what I was going to bring to casserole dump cake grab bag. Lazy Girl surprise. And I was like, oh, I have the perfect idea for the podcast. It should be called Show and Tell segment, aka Item Parade or whatever. And I was like, I know Megan and I both have a bunch of stupid shit in our houses. What if we brought items to show each other and try to make each other laugh or whatever? And then I was like, it's a podcast. It's a podcast. It's a podcast.
it's an ear medium primarily.
It's an ear medium. You
It's an ear
can't
medium.
just hold up, for example,
No.
I can't just sit here and go,
For those of you who are enjoying this via the medium of ears,
for those of you who are listening on the ear medium,
Lindy's holding up a tiny journal that says butts on the front in a very impactful font.
yep. So anyway, that was a bad idea. So then,
You know what that made me think about is that summer that we were working at Experience Music Project, now known as MoPOP.
yeah,
I guess.
Museum of Pop Culture.
Yeah, and we worked there the summer that it opened, and we would have to give out a museum exhibit guide, also known as MEG, and it was like a crossbody bag with a pair of headphones that were like wrapped around the kind that would wrap around the back of your head and then like loop over your ears. Listen, if you came to EMP the very first summer that it opened,
The year
and
2000.
the year 2000,
Flagship summer.
flagship summer, and you came up to the person handing out your Meg and you put on those fucking headphones and said, I feel like a backup singer for Madonna, I hate you. And I have hated you for 25 years. Or this is just like laser tag. Yeah, I've heard them all. I've
Yeah.
heard them all, kid.
Megan and I stood there for 12 hours a day, and we gave out heavy computers, portable computers to angry tourists. And then the Meg, what you did was you walked around the museum. It had a great big chunky remote control that was attached by a cord. So you had the remote control
to your purse, to your Meg purse. Yes.
And then you had your Guy Fieri backward sunglasses headphones. And then you could like point the Meg remote at Jimi Hendrix's pants.
Well, there was like a guitar pick for every exhibit that had a related Meg tutorial or whatever. Yeah. So you'd point your remote at the guitar pick and press a button, and then the Meg would tell you what you needed to know about the soundboard from Electric Ladyland.
Yeah, it would be like, this cape was worn by Jeff from Queensryche. Okay.
It's Jeff's famous cape.
It was the most like ostentatious, sort of like pointless display of technology that was immediately obsolete.
Oh, immediately obsolete. The headphones, I think, became obsolete while we were unwrapping them.
Yeah. And also, by the way, it didn't work. Like,
no,
they were, like,
it never
always
worked. We all had to
pressing the button a million times trying to get it to say something.
We all had what was called a Meg key. Oh, yeah. And if somebody's Meg broke, Meg broke, we'd have to like stick it in there and like pop the battery out and pop it back in. It was so stupid.
My God.
The reason I brought that up is because we worked there with like a frat guy whose name is gone to me now, but he would hand out the Megs and he would say, "This is your museum exhibit guide, or Meg. It will tell you all the information you need to know, both visually and audially." And all summer long, you and I would just be like, audially.
Okay,
so stupid.
2 more things. First of all, this whole episode should just be us talking about working at EMP.
I know, maybe so. Yeah, maybe so.
Because I was just going to tell you what's happening on my Stardew Valley farm, which you don't care about.
Wait, no, hang on. I'm ready to hear about your Stardew Valley farm. Let me just put on my glasses so I can really pay attention. Okay.
For those of you experiencing this audially, Megan has put on a pair of novelty glasses with eyes that are open, painted on the lenses, and she's got into her signature fugue state.
Great story. Thanks for telling me about your Stardew Valley farm. I can take my glasses
I knew that
off
I
now.
had. So George requested a coconut. I knew I had a coconut in one of my chests. I looked through all my fucking chests. George wanted to put a coconut on his mantle, first of all. Okay. George is a tough nut to crack. He's a very grumpy old man. I was like, this is my chance to get in with George. Couldn't find my fucking coconut. The quest expires. He no longer wants the coconut. Then I realized, you know where I put my coconut? In the fridge. In the fridge inside my house.
Oh, God. That's humiliating.
Anyway, but
back to MoPOP.
Yeah, so, okay, 2 things I want to say. One thing I wanted to say is that we had to wear a big button.
Yes. This is important.
Which I still have somewhere. And along with my Meg key, which I forgot all about the Meg key, but I know I still have it because I had it on my keychain.
Yes.
And I recently ran into it in a box and I was like, what is this piece of metal? This has an echo deep inside of me, but what is it? And it was my Meg key. Now that you bring that up.
That's so funny.
But the way to wear a big button, because the Megs were constantly broken.
Constantly broken. Yeah.
You're just standing there hammering the Meg button. Say something, Meg. Say something, I'm giving up on you.
Anything. Say something, I'm giving up on you.
And then, so all the Megs were broken. So we had to wear a big button that said, need help with Meg? And the thing about that is, your name's
I'm
Meg.
Need help with my Megs? That's what you used to say. That summer was so dumb. So if you've ever been to now MoPOP, there's a big room in the front called Sky Church. And that's where we would hand out the Megs. People would get in line to get their Megs. And you were not allowed to sit for like the 8 hours that you were handing out Megs and hearing men make that joke about laser tag
Over
for
and over and
8
over and over.
hours straight. Some people were lucky enough to work on on the ride. There was a ride there called
We got to
Funk Blast.
Yeah.
Which
AKA what I did to Isolde in the toilet.
Yeah, you funk blasted her all the way to Funky Town. And it was a
Okay.
like a multi-sensory experience.
So it's a motion platform ride.
Yes.
And at the time, the reference was Captain EO, but I think that's gone.
I don't even know what you. I mean, I guess they do stuff like that at Disneyland still.
But it's like Star Wars. It's like Millennium Falcon. Like they changed it into the Star Wars thing, I think. But it's like where you're in a movie theater seat essentially, but you're on a big platform that's like, yeah. It's like joggling you.
Except instead of Han Solo, your host is a young man with.
No.
Jane. Sorry.
No. Wait. Don't say it. Don't say it because you're getting ahead of yourself. Your host. Well,
I'm sorry. Your host is Rufio.
Well, that's what I was going to say. But then actually, you know what I want to say? I want to amend that one more time and say that your host is the Archangel of Funk.
Oh my God. Yes, your host is the Archangel of Funk. And then that guy has been in other stuff.
Yes, he's in the Matrix.
Yes, and every time I see him, I go, gonna have a funky good time. Boom, 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 boom.
So, okay, let's just go through the plot of Funk Blast.
I only ever wrote it once, I think.
What? So I wrote it once a shift. I wrote it
Ride it is such a generous term for
okay, yeah, and also because to get to the ride, you have to go through 20 minutes of world building, where you're just like walking through a hallway that's playing you a video. But yeah. Okay, so the ride is no longer there. EMP was very ambitious. This was a Paul Allen vanity project.
Yeah, sorry, just really quickly, reason I brought up the standing up for 8 hours is because Jody Allen specifically told all of our managers that we weren't allowed to sit and that you never knew it was like a panopticon. Yeah. Jody could be watching you at any time.
Because she had a little seat up in the window, like in the top of Skychurch, and it would be like, she was like fucking Sauron's eye.
Yes. So I was like, the eye of Jody could catch you at any time sitting down, and you'd be busted, sweetie, from your $9 an hour job if it was even that.
$8.75
probably
max.
Maybe $7. I don't know. Anyway,
I remember it was pleated khakis and a polo.
And a polo. Mm-hmm. It was really ugly, like red or navy blue polo.
Yeah. So, yeah, Jody Allen being Paul Allen's evil sister. At least that's what we thought. She's probably nice. I don't know.
Does she own the store? Did she not give you that bravery award?
She probably gave me the bravery award. Sorry, Jody. I don't think you're evil. We just wanted to sit down. I used to pretend I had to go to the bathroom, and then I would sit in the bathroom for like half an hour and just be like, not quite crying, but maybe crying.
Yeah, I think I would just be like, I need to go get something.
Goodbye.
So anyway, Funk Blast.
So there were a lot of ambitious elements to EMP when it first opened. There was Funk Blast. There was a thing where you could like play real instruments, and then it would create a video,
a music video. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there was all this shit that like was not probably like immediately broke, and they didn't. It wasn't making enough money to repair it. I don't know. So because they spent $1 billion on the building.
They hired world famous freaking architect Frank Gehry to create his doo-doo building. Yeah, that everybody on Lower Queen Anne hated, and they were like, well, he did the Guggenheim in Bilbao, and of course no one in Seattle gives a fuck about any of that. And I was like, well, at the time they didn't. Now I think people are more urbane. Yeah, but at the time everyone was like, Dookie building. So they spent all the money on the Dookie.
It's supposed to look like a Jimi Hendrix's smashed guitar. Did you know that?
True?
Yeah, that was the concept.
Oh my God.
So dumb. So it was only probably a year or two that people got to experience Funk Blast. And the concept also was that Funk Blast, the ride, was going to be a rotating like
Yes.
exhibit. So it
Yeah.
would, so they were going to create a new storyline and a new ride every couple years or something that explored a different genre of music. So, but that, alas, that did not happen. But Megan and I got to experience.
We never got Kurt Cobain's face.
Well,
Sorry. I'll save it. Please
yeah,
continue.
but we never got grunge hose.
Yeah. We never got the archangel of metal.
But so you would go down, and now it's like the basement where the sci-fi stuff is, but you go down and there's a whole plot. There's a story to the ride. And so you walk through a series of hallways watching a series of videos. So the storyline is two young brothers, one of whom is Rufio from Hook, Dante Basco, if you're wondering.
Also
And-
the voice of Fire
Yes.
Man.
Fireman.
What is
Prince Zuko.
That's what I said.
Yep. From Avatar The Last Airbender. So he's, oh my God, we should try to interview him about Funk Blast. So he's,
If you're Dante Basco, Basco, will you
you're-
call us?
will you call us, please?
I have got to talk to you about that archangel of funk. I must.
So you watch this video. Rufio and his brother, possibly his real life brother, playing his brother, they're trying to start a band, and they're simply not funky.
They don't have the funk. They're
yeah.
not keeping time properly. They don't have any cool moves.
No, they fucking suck.
Yeah.
And then they are visited. They are visited by an elegant funky ghost named the Archangel of Funk, and he promises to take them on a journey through the heart and soul of funk, and by the end they will be reborn down the birth canal of funk
Of funk into Funky Town.
Into Funky Town.
Yes.
Two funky boys of Funky Town.
I think
And
that's what. Yeah, that's right.
that's what it said in the brief when it was pitched. So first you walk through a hall and there's like some funky implements on the walls, and they show like a video of James Brown's band rehearsing. James Brown is not there, but I just remember you watch like they're you watch them record. So they show like the bass player being like whatever. And then they show like whatever. And you're like, "Oh, that's how you make a funk," or whatever. And then you go through this stairwell where there's a prop from a Parliament stage set that's a giant platform boot.
Oh.
Like a Bootsy Collins boot, but it's huge. It's like the size of a building. And so then when we went through that part, we would always say that's a very, very big shoe,
Yes.
which is a thing that they say in the Snoop Dogg video.
Yeah.
You're gonna need a widescreen for this. Now that is a very, very, very big shoe.
But he says it.
Snoop Dogg. That's a bizzle shizzle.
Yeah, Bizzle.
And then it is translated to that's one really, really big shoe.
So we used to say that. That was part of the ritual.
Anyway, so we found Bootsy Collins' boot on the way to
It
Funk
was not
Fly.
hard to find. It was really
Yeah,
big.
it was very big.
And then the Archangel of Funk sort of I believe he like takes them on a flying through the circuits of time. They land backstage at the Parliament show.
They're getting some inspo.
And they're like,
know.
whoa! It's like blowing their minds. They've never seen real funk before.
They were like, that bass line is crazy.
They've been faking da funk this whole time.
They have been faking da funk.
And so it blows their little minds.
They've been staying on the 2s and 4s,
Yes.
which is not funky.
And then, oh, you know what? I think, sorry, Megan, I think they're up in the in the rafters watching, because I think that the Archangel of Funk is like, you need to take the leap into funk life.
Oh my god! You just have to trust that the archangel isn't there to kill you.
and that he's not just a hallucination.
Yeah, you're not high on LSD at a
drink too
Parliament
much-
show, which seems more likely than
Totally.
an actual archangel of funk brought you up to the rafters. Of
So
a
I
people
believe-
show.
I believe they take the leap. They just like jump down into George Clinton's hair.
Awaiting arms.
Yeah, and then they fly through the circuits of funk and time and space, which is meanwhile. So now you're on the ride part, so it's like zoom, zoom. It's essentially like that thing they show at the beginning of a real movie where you're going on the popcorn roller coaster.
And the popcorn pops, and you're like, whoa!
Scares the shit out of me every time.
I know. It's like, silence your phone. Pop, pop.
Yeah. But then, except also the floor is moving and like tilting you forward. So, I
remember they said it was like multi-sensory and there was supposed to be smells, but I don't remember there being any smells. Well, really. Maybe the smells were broken that day.
I experienced the smells, Megan. The smells didn't really start until you get to Funky Town. So they arrive. They're shat out of the out of the funk pipe tube. Into Funky Town.
Yes.
And Funky Town is a wonderland
of it's like the color scheme totally changes. Everything is very saturated. It's very funky. There's like hot women funky dancing all over on the telephone poles and stuff.
I feel like Funky Town had that like 90s revival 70s vibe where
it wasn't. No, they were not getting the authentic bell bottom.
You zoom through the streets of Funky Town, and this is when the smells start to blast you. So there's just like a little nozzle on the back of each seat. And so then when you would funk past a hot lady dancing in bell bottoms wearing a big flower, and then the little nozzle would go... and it would just like spray you with a flower smell. And so you just like go through, you're dancing, you're zooming. It sort of just jostles you a lot because it's like trying to simulate funky dancing for white people. Like they're like, this is what it feels like to dance. And
this is what it feels like to move your body in ways you've never even considered.
In rhythm with the song. Is this when they're playing Gonna Have a Funky Good Time?
I don't remember if that was actually part of Funk Blast, because separately, and we'll come back to Funk Blast, I promise. Separately, when we were in Sky Church, the video screen behind us would play the same 8 videos in rotation all the time. And one of them was Gonna Have a Funky Good Time. And we used to talk about that all the time because James Brown does this dance, and I am sorry for people who are enjoying this audially, but he does this little like bunny hop. He goes 1, 2, 3, and he lifts up one arm. And as he like pulls it down, it turns him to the right. 1, 2, 3. And so he kind of just like, he just goes, whoop, whoop. And so he was like, it's like a little, like he would use his own arm to twist his body 90 degrees. And we used to do it
all
with
day.
Him. Gonna have a funky good time. Anyway, so this is just a plug to watch our YouTube videos so you can see us doing this.
Please, that's the only place you can see us doing the James Brown bunny dance.
There's one called Trust, which I have been, every now and then I look on YouTube to see if somebody had uploaded it, and I haven't been able to find it. But it was like this lady, this really like great sounding Martha Wash-esque sounding woman. Actually, might have been Martha Wash. I don't know. I'll check. And like this guy, this like tough guy. And she would be like, I need love. And then the guy would go, Trust.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Here, let's do it. I need love.
Trust. Yeah.
But then like a sort of dystopian like robot man voice robot would come on and do like a monologue about like, can you trust the people around you?
He goes, can you really trust the people you work with every day on a daily basis?
Wait. That's not even it. Okay, wait. Okay, so there it would go. Can you trust the people you work with? And that was one of our favorite bits, and everyone would look around and be like,
yeah, everyone would
I don't know. Mm-hmm. And then it would say, can you trust people who watch you every day on a daily basis?
Okay.
People who watch you every day on a daily basis.
It's just the concept of every day on a daily basis.
But then everyone's favorite was Up and Down, and then we would stare up at Jody's window because we had this idea that Jody was personally VJing, and we would go
Up and Down,
and Up and Down was like a sort of electronic banger dance.
I don't even remember. I wish I could.
Well, Up and Down, I can tell you, it went like this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. And we were like,
but that was like the one that everybody really liked, which means they never played it.
They never played it.
Anyways, back to Funk Blast.
Finally, we get to the Funky Town Square.
Finally,
and then Meagan,
the mayor,
and Rufio and his brother are just like
heads exploding. They really are like, I want to do cocaine with George Clinton. That's the only way to be funky, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And
they
then the
journey
mayor,
all the way to the heart of Funky Town.
and there's the mayor, and it's a very lithe young man, and you're like, wow, who's this funky character?
Look at that ass.
He's got a naughty body, I know that. You know, and he whips around, and it's the CGI'd face of James Brown.
So, James Brown. So, just for some context.
They stretched young James Brown's face onto the body of someone else.
Old James Brown's face. Because I want to say at this they got a young man's body. With a tight little ass to do in the white jumpsuit to do the little James Brown dance. And then they CGI'd James Brown's actual face onto this man's body. And for context, in the year 2000, James Brown was approximately 90 years old, and the art of CGI was approximately -5 years old. It hadn't yet been born.
I think that they invented CGI for EMP.
Yes, and it was not a success.
They really weren't selling the idea that was actually James Brown. It was very stretched on to the face of the actual person. It just looked like
it was a ghoul from the heart of hell.
Yeah, you know what it looked like? This is from like the one season of Doctor Who I ever watched. It looked like that Texan skin sheet woman.
Yeah, yes.
It looked like that, but like placed upon the body of a young man. And and you were supposed to think it was actually James Brown from the 70s or something. And he just
this is probably too dark to say, but it looked like those pictures of the BTK killer where he wore the woman's mask. It was giving Dennis.
It was giving Dennis. Unfortunately, CGI James Brown whips around and says, "Stay on the ones and always keep it funky." And then I want to say he just shot into space.
Yeah, I think he did like a spin, and then he span. He spun so fast that he rocketed into space, I think.
Like funkily?
And exploded? I don't know.
Yeah. And then Rufio and his brother come back to America.
Yep.
And are funky.
They're like, we've seen enough. We've learned everything we need to know, and then they create the funkiest band of all time.
Well, because as it turns out, all you need to know is stay on the ones. Ultimately, that's like the only thing they take away from it.
Well, actually, and Megan, you know, people often ask us, how did we create the funkiest song of all time? Which is Professor Dr. Freak Vonk.
You can thank Funk Blast for that.
The answer is Funk Blast.
Because I borrowed that line from James Brown.
I mean, like, they to their credit, they got James Brown to record that. They for sure hired James Brown to do that face
to say
record.
To say stay on the ones. He probably got paid $5 million
totally.
To say stay on the ones. In $1999 and $2000, he got probably paid $5 million to say stay on the ones and always keep it funky. And then the Archangel of Funk is like sort of knowingly is like, yeah. It's like you didn't even need to do.
Name? He's in the Matrix.
Harry Lennox.
Harry Lennox. Yeah, Harry Lennox. Harry Lennox played the Archangel of Funk, an elegant, actually kind of Matrix coded, but a white, beautiful white duster.
Yeah. If you're Harry Lennox, would you call us?
Also, do you want a whittle kiss?
Do you want a kiss in Funky Town? Little smoochers, stay on the ones, Harry. Always keep it funky.
The offer applies also to Rufio.
The offer applies most especially to whoever got James Brown's face stretched over his face.
If
you're the one I want to kiss the most.
If you're the body double for the James Brown,
call me. Do you still have the mask?
Oh, Lord.
So that was our summer at EMP. We never did get Kurt Cobain's stretched face over a younger body spinning around so fast and shooting into the grunge skies. We never did get that. It's too bad.
I think that's actually probably where America took the turn.
Yep.
Into
there's another timeline
evil.
where we got grunge blast.
Yep.
And those guys got, Al Gore and and a liberal Supreme Court.
Yeah.
9/11 didn't happen on that timeline.
Nope.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
So that was that summer. And then there was like a fun cast of characters. I stayed for longer than you because my college didn't start. This was like the
Yeah.
summer right before we went to college. And my college didn't start till September. And you had to go down to LA, I think, in August. And there was like, I remember this one guy we called Ren Fair Guy who I regret in retrospect, he was just enjoying his life.
Dude, I mean, imagine if we hadn't burned that bridge.
I know.
He could be our DM now.
He could be he probably is somebody's
for our D&D game.
But he used to do, every time they play like sort of an electronic song, he would go to the middle of the floor of Sky Church and do that thing that you do at raves with your hands, that little flippy flappy, and he'd be like, and everyone would just be like, the summer that they launched it, they had 2 big concerts, and one week was like No Doubt and Matchbox 20 and bands of that nature, and Metallica, and then the next week it was like Eminem and Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre. So there was like one rock weekend and one rap weekend that they launched it. And somebody interviewed Rob Thomas from Matchbox 20 about like his experience at the Experience Music Project. And he's just like, this place is amazing. I'm walking around seeing so much great stuff. I'm like, whoa, is that the soundboard from Electric Ladyland? And that ruined me. That ruined us, I think, for 3 straight months. We would just, it was like, I don't know, we would like go get pink cookies from that 7-Eleven near your house and be like, is that the soundboard from Electric Ladyland?
Here's the thing about, is that the soundboard from Electric Ladyland? You can point at anything and say, is that the soundboard from Electric Ladyland? And it's so funny.
It is funny, and I couldn't tell you if it is or not. I don't know what the fuck a soundboard is. I never learned that in the 3 months that I worked
You
there.
never walked through the Hendrix passage or whatever it was. There was like a special Jimi Hendrix, like
the Hendrix Canal.
sacred hallway. Yeah, it had the soundboard from Electric Ladyland.
It had the soundboard from Electric Ladyland. Well, I don't know what's going on at MoPOP these days, but it's probably not anything as fun as that. But if you work at MoPOP and you have access to that up and down song / video and the trust one, send it to me.
Yeah, actually, if you're a higher up at MoPOP and you can go into the archives, Megan and I have a long-standing feud.
Oh, we do need to discuss this. Yeah.
Although I forfeit, I'm sure you're right. I don't know why I had any confidence. I don't know anything. But
we got other people involved in it too. I was like, look at that picture. Look at that picture when it comes up. You tell me who that is.
So there was like a slide, like up around the sort of the crown molding of Sky Church. There was like a rotating strip of pictures of famous musicians, and it was like a slideshow that would sort of glide.
Yeah, it was just like a Getty slideshow of like old pics.
And so we would always play a game that was like, can we identify? Because you're so bored.
It's so boring.
So it would be like, oh, that's the only reason why I know who Jello Biafra is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Ren Fair Guy was like, wow, it's Jello Biafra.
That's how I can recognize Thurston Moore. But so, because like, listen, I'm still heavily in the Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Listen, she's not
point.
she's not interested in bands, guys. Leave her alone.
No.
She's busy.
So there was one picture that would constantly come up, and you're gonna think this is an impossible argument to have because the answer should be obvious. But I think the face must have been obscured by
it was definitely like side profile or like 3/4 profile, so it wasn't like full like on the woman's face.
And we could not agree on whether or not this person was Madonna or Cyndi Lauper.
So in the picture, she's wearing sort of a multicolor, like I want to say like yellow and pinkish, but almost like, I don't know how to describe the texture. It wasn't braided, but it sort of was flecked in that same kind of way. Her hair is like very sort of spiky up in a ponytail, but like definitely you can see some bleached ends, maybe some other colors in the hair. I want to say, I remember yellow and pink is emerging for me as what was happening in this photo. And she is holding a microphone too. So that's like part of what's blocking her face. And I was convinced, I mean, to me, there's no question. It's Madonna. Looks exactly like Madonna. And then you were like, what? No, it's Cyndi Lauper. And it was like a controversy. And I was like, Ren Fair Guy, who is that? But there were like different sides. Some people agreed with you. Some people really thought that was Cyndi Lauper. Some people thought she was Madonna. Yeah.
It divided the whole.
I remember we would sort of jokingly be like, one day when you're in the nursing home, you're going to get an anonymous piece of mail and it's going to be a printout from like the Getty website. This is what we thought technology would be. The U.S. Postal Service is probably not going to exist when we're in our 80s, but I was like, I'm going to mail it to you in a manila envelope, and it's going to be from Getty, and it's going to say Madonna at the bottom, and you'll be busted, sweetie. But I don't feel that fussed about it. You know, I feel okay about it.
I can tell you exactly why I thought that was Cyndi Lauper, because I literally just categorized. It's like, okay, Cyndi Lauper is the one with the neon and the crazy hair, and then Madonna is a little bit more like refined and sexy, and she wears like a black sort of like a black lace and a cone. Cyndi Lauper wears neon pink mesh top. Madonna wears black lace top.
Madonna wouldn't wear color. Madonna wear black.
I did a binary and I was like, that's how I know. So that doesn't hold up. I'm sure that you're right.
I mean, who knows at this point? But
you're definitely right. You know so much more than me about pop culture.
But here's the thing: I've like tried to look for it. Not recently. I'm not hung up on it. But like afterwards, I was like, I'm going to try to find this photo and see if I can figure it out. And let me tell you, it's not possible to find, because if you Google Madonna neon yellow 80s, that's every photo of Madonna.
Or
you're not going to find it.
Every photo of everyone dressing up like Madonna.
Yes. You're never going to find the actual photo.
That's why we need an insider at MoPOP who can go into the archives. You know, underneath that Dookie building it's like, you know, the iconic end of iconic movie where it's the files and the hallway that goes on forever where they file the secrets.
Oh, well, there's a version of that at the end of one of the Indiana Jones movies where they put the Ark in a box and then they zoom out from. Yeah, it's that. Yeah. Except it's that picture of Cyndi Donna.
It's everything that Megan and I have ever argued about.
Malopper.
And you know who's
the up and down video is in there too.
Exactly. And you know who's the librarian? Ren Fair guy.
Yes.
He's down there.
Christopher.
Is that his name?
I think so. Yeah.
Christopher, if you're listening, please get in touch. We miss you.
Sorry. I'm sorry if we were mean to you. I probably was. I apologize.
There's no way I was mean to you, but
no.
I'm sorry.
I don't think Lindy ever spoke a single word to you, but I think she did come up with the nickname.
Yeah, I didn't make any friends, by the way. Megan made lots of friends. If Megan wasn't there, I was silent as the grave. And I said, need help with Meg?
I feel like what would happen is you would sit there silently and then later like have a list of things you wanted to discuss. Like Ren Fair guy, audially, up and down.
The very last day that I was supposed to work at EMP, I was working the night shift. It was going to be my last shift. And it was like, 4 to 11 or something. I was hanging out with a friend of mine and we were having a great time. A beautiful summer day. I was going to leave for college soon. I think some other people were getting together to hang out. We were like down by Lake Washington, and I was like, oh man, I gotta go to work. It's my last day. And he was like, you should just not go. And I was like, I have to go.
But what about my responsibilities?
Yeah. And I was like, my mommy told me that if my work get mad at me, then I never get job again.
Then I'm busted, sweetie.
And like, I just remember leaving this like perfect, it was just end of childhood, like, about to leave for college, leaving it all behind, and it was a perfect day, and it was clearly going to turn into a really beautiful fun night of friendship, and then I left and I drove to the Seattle Center. No one noticed. I think the like clock-in machine was broken. Like, and I just was there.
You probably never even got your last paycheck. From them.
And like no one was like, there were no tourists. I just remember like I just stood there for 8 hours, like doing nothing,
doing the up and down hand motion to no avail.
And that's when I realized that you should always just do whatever you want.
Yeah, this is all fake. What am I doing this? I'm doing this for Jody.
So I can get a letter of recommendation so I can get a good, what do they call it? Reference from...
A good reference from Jody.
From my manager who's 18 and a half.
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
I don't even remember having a manager there.
I don't either.
Like,
there was
who
no
would
structure.
I even cite as a reference for that job? As far as anyone knows, I was a volunteer. I mean, I guess they did technically pay me. I don't know.
God, here's how you know capitalism is bad. And sorry, I didn't actually mean to talk about EMP for this whole episode, but that's what this is.
Yeah.
So I just remember I used to, on my lunch break, which was only half an hour.
That's right. And there was, as far as you could go, it was the center house for like a fucking slice of pizza haven.
And so I, just to feel a moment of like ownership over my own self and my own time, and to like feel like a human being for 5 minutes, because it just, especially customer facing, like customer service work that has no meaning, that like, where you know that the organization does not give a shit if you live or die. I would go to my car. I would get my car out of the parking garage, wasting like 10 minutes of this lunch, just so that I could go through the McDonald's drive-thru.
Yes.
And like, R.I.P. the famous McDonald's from the lore, where Meagan
the tartar sauce lore
would source tartar sauce packets to destroy the rich. Maybe you got Jody one of those times. Maybe that's why she would never play up and down for us, because she was mad at you. And I would just sit in the car just to feel like a real person. Like I have some privacy. I'm making all the choices in this car. You know what I mean? No one else can come into this car and tell me not to eat these chicken nuggets.
Not to sit down.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just, there's so much about that time that was really funny, but also it's because it was 25 years ago. I'm sure while it was happening, I was like, it was rough. And it was just like, and for what? You know, it was like just a dumb museum with weird shit. It was like a privately owned museum full of dumb stuff. And well, some of it was interesting, I guess.
Yeah,
so
sure.
Like,
Run DMC's Adidas.
Yeah.
There they are.
And then I want to say it did very poorly. And then I might be making this up, but I feel like EMP was like, "Dear Mayor of Seattle, we have a gift for you. Her name is EMP, the museum. Our insolvent trash pile of Paul Allen's hoard. You're welcome."
It's
for
Paul
the present.
It's Paul Allen's $8 billion storage unit.
And it's all yours for the low, low price of we continue to pay no taxes. You're welcome. But I want to say that King County was like, no thanks. If you were involved in any of this, have any idea what I'm talking about, let me know if I'm right. Thanks.
Look, I don't hate it. It was
it's fine.
Parts of it were cool. It's interesting. Obviously,
they do have like concerts there now in Skychurch and stuff. That's like a cool use for it.
Yeah, and like, look, art is important and music is important, and you know, there was a lot of stuff in there that was archiving Seattle music history, like jazz history, and you know, it was interesting stuff. But working there's just, especially then, although probably even more now, actually, there was just this sense that teenagers were little pieces of shit.
Yes.
That came from the garbage, and unto garbage would they return.
So too were they returned.
So I don't know, like, I just think of myself sitting in that car, like, wishing with every cell in my body that I didn't have to go back to work.
Yeah.
And that's like the prevailing feeling in all of the world.
I know.
And maybe we should do it that way.
It's really rough. I remember I grew up in a family that really felt like as soon as you can work, you must. And it really sucked. It's like there's so much I could have been doing that summer that would have been really great. It's not that we didn't get good stories out of it, but you know.
But but if nothing sums this up better than that picture of you in the newspaper working at Pagliacci. That face that you're making. We'll post it on the Instagram.
I'll post it on the Instagram again. They're like, you can have a car, but you have to pay for everything associated with the car. Or like,
that's your parents?
Yeah, my parents are like, if you want that, you have to pay for it yourself. And so it's like, I guess I'll spend every moment I'm not at school, I guess I'll be at fucking Pagliacci.
I love it.
Thanks. Did you know, sorry, we don't need to get into this, but like, I didn't even know that you could like take an SAT prep class. Like, I just remember one of our friends, also named Meagan, was like taking it like a Kaplan SAT prep class. I was like, what is that? And she's like, yeah, you have to practice for the SAT. And I was like, you have to do what? Like, I had no idea. I was just like running around, just like doing my best, slinging pizza, buying North Face jackets and gas. I was like, I have no idea what's going on here. I was like, you guys are applying for college?
Yeah.
Who told you to do that?
But Meagan, now you're a lawyer.
Isn't that weird? Is that crazy?
Yeah.
I just feel it feels like a very crazy thing to have gone from like I am desperate for so desperate for money that I will stand by the soundboard from Electric Ladyland, which I don't to this day don't know what it looks like, or I'll stand by a big ass boot. I'll do whatever for money, or I'll give pizza.
You sold a lot of plasma.
I sold a lot. I used to sell plasma. This was after college. I used to sell plasma.
If you have some of Megan's plasma in your body, give us a call.
Yeah. And it didn't even really pay that much. I did a lot of those weird studies that were in the research studies in the back of The Stranger. I used to do all those.
Yeah. I remember Hester used to do, she got somehow hooked up with this like promotions company.
Oh,
so
God.
she would have to do these things where it's like you go to Folklife and you stand like outside in like a pink tent. That like giving away Venus razors where you just at an ear-splitting volume all day it just says I'm your Venus over and over and over. And
Didn't she have to dress up as a hamster?
that's what I was gonna say.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. My very favorite one she had to do was, for some reason, I don't even know what they were promoting, but there's some sort of character, like Japanese cartoon character maybe, named Hamtaro,
Oh,
who
Hamtaro.
is a hamster, a cute little hamster, and Hester had to dress up in the Hamtaro suit and go to Green Lake and like let kids pet Hamtaro. But I think the Hamtaro suit was made for like a Japanese child too.
Yeah, so she was like at a 90-degree angle
inside of like a fur potato in 90-degree summer, like just like, and it had little wheels, I think, and she's just like scooting around inside Hamtaro.
It's just, I don't think we should be making people do this. I don't think let's just get rid of it. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed Lazy Girl Upside Down Cake. I hope you enjoyed Dump Casserole with Lindy and Meagan and the spirit of James Brown. If you want more videos of us doing a weird dance that you can't hear audibly, give us some money. Patreon.com/textmebackpod.
And did you know that we also have an email and a phone number?
We do. Would you like to do the honors? Do you remember?
Nope.
The email is deartextmeback@gmail.com. The phone number 703-829-0003. That's right. And follow us on Instagram, please.
And send us your stories of early employment. I'd love to hear them.
Nothing too sad. But if you had to dress up as Hamtaro and sit in there at a 90-degree angle while getting pet by 4-year-olds at Green Lake, I want to know about it. So send us a message or call us. You can call us at the phone number too and leave a message.
Did you say we have a YouTube? We have a Facebook? We have an Instagram?
We have all that.
We have it all. Basically, like,
we have it all.
Google us. And
we also have a live show coming up.
Yes.
At the Reeser Center, and which we will post a link to.
In Beaverton, Oregon, just outside Portland. It's going to be November 7th.
The Reeser, RESER.org. You can get your tickets there and come see us because it'll be fun. It'll be right after the election and we're going to be talking.
We're going to be processing. And, you know, Meagan, that little pizza angel who never heard of SAT prep, now, no matter who wins this election, she knows one of them. Whether it's Kamala or JD.
Jance Dance Vance. Oh, did you see the one Jorkin to Penis?
Yeah, Vance? That's a really good one. I was like, actually, so this thing happens to me where
Were you mad that you didn't think of Jorkin to Penis?
And then it makes me not like it.
Yeah. I kind of felt the same way. Well, what happened was my brother sent it to me first and I was like, I like this. This is fun. And then I started seeing it other places and then I didn't like it as much because I was like, Matthew already sent this to me. Yeah. Anyway, next week, exciting news. We have a little tasty amuse-bouche of the Shrill Rewatch that we're doing. That's only for our Patreon subscribers until now. Mm-hmm. If you've been curious, if you've been thinking, well, I'm kind of interested in the Shrill Rewatch, but I like to sample the wares before I just willy-nilly send my $3 to $8 to content creators. We're going to release the very first episode of the Shrill Rewatch that we did, so you can see what we're talking about over there. Maybe if you like it, subscribe to the Patreon and you can watch the rest.
We're going to put the audio out as a podcast episode next week. So you can hear what we're talking about. It's the episode where we talk through the steps of how I got my book made into a TV show. And I think it's really interesting.
I think so too. I was really interested while we were recording it because a lot of that stuff I didn't even know.
I hope you like it. Please check it out. And if you want to hear more, there's only one place. Patreon.com/
Text me backpop baby.
That's right.
/ Ren Fair Guy. Okay.
We love you.
See you next week.
Bye.
Text me back.